Yeah, Amit Kumar, can you mute yourself if you are not talking? Yeah. Okay. So let me go into today's topic. So you know that today we will basically do the Python DS assignment, that is data science assignment. We will start. So as you have seen for both Java and C++ assignments, it's not the idea of the lab is not to basically comprehensively introduce you to the concepts and then give an assignment. It's not like that, and that's the fun part of it. You have to explore, you have to basically try to solve the problem by, I mean, wherever from you basically get the concepts and so on. So of course that is one of the ways to learn. So but still this for this Python DS assignment, I'll try to give us some small overview of the Python as we have done for both Java and C++. But you should remember that, I mean, it should not necessarily mean that whatever we are discussing in these slides, I mean, the assignments will only come from there. It can be completely different, but yeah, there will be just to get you started. So let me go into the slideshow mode. Yeah, so okay, so what is the agenda? It is getting familiar with some efficient tools in Python, because yeah, tools are always important, not only the theoretical concepts or just the concepts. Getting familiar with OOP concepts. So because you have by now have known that, okay, OOP will be or is a major part of the software engineering theory course. So some way, how can you do OOP in Python? It's, though it's not a very Python is not a very object-oriented programming language, so to say, but it can be done. That's the thing. Getting familiar with NumPy and Matplotlib, because that is that you will need a lot in the project, or rather the assignment. This is just two different libraries with Python. Let me see if I can get the pointer on somewhere in Teams. I might, or is it with the okay screen? No, what is this? Okay, let me see. Does anybody know where to get the pointer in Teams? I don't really use much of Teams. Okay. Okay. Is or I mean, if you can see my arrow, the pointer, that will also do the trick. No, I'm not finding it somehow. Anyway,
So go
so
to the second one.
this one, by title, no.
No, sir, the second icon.
Oh, this one. Oh, great. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, so now you can see my pointer, right? Okay, so getting to know what is, yeah, so getting to know what is segmenting objects in images, that is one of the agenda, because the assignment is actually based on this. So you can see the assignment in the GitHub link. It is also there, the link is also there in Moodle. Also the slide, at least in its preliminary form, it is there in Moodle. So let me just show you Moodle once and that GitHub page, then I'll come back. Yeah, so yeah, so this is the Moodle page. I think, yeah, it is now not hidden. So this is the assignment. You will, I mean, I'll discuss first, but yeah, you will get these in this GitHub repository. And yeah, the slides are there, but if I say find any typo or if I need to modify anything, I'll upload a updated slide, of course, after the lecture. And this is the GitHub link that I will come when required, or when we will be there. Okay, now let us see how do you, okay, yeah, just one assumption, you already are familiar with basics of Python. Basics of Python basically means just how to run if else these conditions, loops, functions, different containers, etc. Right? That you are also doing it C++. So it will be very easy to pick up if you even don't know that, right? Okay. Now running Python, there are many ways to install Python on your laptop, PC or server, but nowadays Python actually comes, I mean, all the laptops comes with Python. So even if it, I mean, depending on the OSs, I mean, at least I'm sure with Mac OS and Linux, Windows probably also comes up with it. Otherwise, you can always download from only, I mean, the original Python download or Anaconda. Now, what is Anaconda? There is a slide for that. So I'll come to that. I mean, many of the things you might know, but just it's okay to basically brush up things. So there are many editors. So I don't know which editor you used for your Java or C++ ones, but Eclipse, if you have used, you can very well use it for Python. There are other Python specific ones like Jupyter Notebook or Lab, Spider, PyCharm, VS Code. VS Code is also one versatile editor, and even you can do it in text editors like Sublime Text. So you can you just have to write some scripts. So in C it is like .c, that was the your extension. For in Python it will be just .py. So you can write it as a text file also. Just you have to, I mean, editor makes your life a little easier. Sometimes prompts come and some, I mean, the indentation, etc. The syntaxes, the syntactical error or semantical error that generally is less in editor. So there are helps for that. So these are some of the very popular choices of the editor. Yeah, our choice is probably the most popular one, Anaconda. So Anaconda is a distribution of programs in Python, and R is also there. R is a mathematical language, I would say. I mean, where mathematical computations, mostly the statistics people, they do it. And includes a huge number of libraries and several tools. So it comes bundled with it. These include the Spider development environment, basically the Spider editor, and Jupyter Notebook. So in default, if you install Anaconda, you will get these things. You can create your own customized environment, which is independent of what you have in your PC, laptop, server already. So in your PC, laptop, or server, you, as I said, most of the distributions now come with Python. So if suppose the Python that comes with it is, suppose say 3.5 version, but you want your code to run on say 3.8, because maybe some library that you are using, external library, that is dependent on the 3.8 or 3.9. So you can try to maybe not disturb your your computer's own Python, because that may be dictating some other applications, so it may get jeopardized. I mean, version mismatch, etc. You have probably come across with it in many other applications, not in Python. So I mean, Anaconda provides this choice that, I mean, independent of what you have in your PC, you can actually create your own environment, which will be specific to that Python, that library. I mean, some library you want, say, for one application for your data science assignments. And some applications, maybe if you also try to install some library rather in Python, if you try to install, it might have some conflict. Say the other library is for your, say, Python GUI application, and that these two don't really aren't really compatible. They can probably mismatch. So in that case, you can create simply two separate independent environment, and you run your applications in those two. Whenever you need what, you will run that. So that is the idea. Again, it's just overview of it. So I think the links are there. You can basically read more about Anaconda. You can watch videos. These are great tools to have. I mean, it's just to get you started. You probably will be needing it for the rest of your life until like something more popular in some other domain over Python comes. Okay, now yeah, so download and install Anaconda for your OS. Note that the most recent Python version is 3.9 here. Hopefully it has not changed. There are two versions of the installer, so graphical and command line. So graphical works on Windows or Mac, while command line works on Mac Linux. So just read this. This is just to help you, because these sort of questions I always get, like which one to download, or like there is no command line word for the Linux one. So I think in Linux, the default is just installer, and that means the command line. You will also see nowadays those Power9, Edge, etc. Specific Anaconda installers. Those are for different CPUs. I hope you might, or any of you might not have the Power9, IBM Power9 CPUs. So don't go into those links. If you have the option, use command line installer. That would be my choice because I find it easier. So I just use the command line one. Depending on your OS, please follow the steps as listed in the following links. So the links for the Windows installation, Mac OS installation, and Linux installation is given. So you will find these links in the slide that is already uploaded in Moodle. Okay, so straight away after installing, you can use Spider and so you don't have to do it right now because of course you can do it at your leisure time. I mean, you get time for submission of these assignments, right? So you can use Spider and Jupyter Notebook IDs. As I said, Spider and Jupyter comes bundled with it. Getting started is there, how to get started on running your Python code in Jupyter or Spider. If you can run till this, you are ready for the lab. However, I shall continue to use Eclipse editor. So that was my comfort zone. In Eclipse, you need to add PyDev plugin. So if you have installed Eclipse for your C++ or Java assignments, you just have to add only this PyDev plugin. So how to do it? The link is also given here, right?
Sir,
Yeah, please.
sir, is it necessary that we should install Anaconda if we already have Python and some other IDs?
Not at all necessary. Whatever
Okay.
will be your choice. Just when you show your code, I mean the assignment evaluation, you just have to run it, and whatever is asked in that code, then you just have to okay, this should be the input. What is the output? That's what you need to show. Yeah, this is much more flexible. I mean, you will find it in industry also. Like what makes your life easier, use that, right? Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody? I mean, I'm not.
Sir, like can Jupyter Notebooks be submitted instead?
Sorry, what?
Like can Jupyter Notebooks be submitted instead? Like we could do it on Colab or somewhere.
Yeah, you can, but ultimately what you have to submit is a Python script. So that is the ID, right? The Colab or Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab, whatever. That is just the ID. But there in that ID, you either run a notebook, that is IPy NB extension, or .py, right? So the assignment asks you to submit the py file. So if you run it in IPython notebook, that is IPy NB extension, you can convert it to py. Right. So now say, I mean, there are tools to convert. Tools means just comes with IPython notebook or Jupyter notebook. So Jupyter notebook gives you that option. Now you convert it and then just upload it. That will not be a good practice, right? Because you need to test at least that the script runs. Are you getting what I'm trying to tell? You can
Yes, sir.
put anywhere, but you have to submit the script file and you need to test the script file that it runs. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if not, then yeah, these are some sources. I mean, you can like get millions or trillions of sources of Python if you just search in website. This one, the first one is most of the I would say the OOP stuffs, the iterables, etc. The initial stuffs that I have prepared are taken from that. Somehow I found that from KGP LAN or KGP Wi-Fi, this is not working. Some DNS problem is happening, but I saw that at least it is opening in if you try to connect it to via mobile network. But hello, yeah. Anybody has any questions? Okay, if not, then yeah. So you don't need to really go into this. There are, I mean, myriads of other sources that also are equally helpful, if not better. Okay, so let us again now we will go into these things very briefly. As I said, these may not be required, all of these in your assignments, but yeah, later we will see there is another Python assignment, right? And then the tests there it might be required. So yeah, as I said, the loops, etc. I am assuming that you know how to deal with. It's very easy. If you don't know, I mean, it's easier than C. Okay. Now an iterable. So let us just briefly brush through some of the concepts here. So an iterable is any Python object capable of returning its members one at a time. So permitting it to be iterated over a loop. So iterable, as the name suggests, you can iterate over it. So examples are lists, tuples, strings, etc. Even in strings, you can iterate over the letters. Then list is of course a container, right? So list of integers, list of mixed things can also, I mean, Python allows. So a list can contain integer, string, your float, etc. So 2 integer, 5 strings, etc. That is, I mean, you can very well have. Tuples is another just container. It can be 2 tuple, 3 tuple, anything. Iterable help to write efficient codes using the concept generators, which we will come at a later slide. Some useful built-in functions that accept iterables as arguments are list, tuple, sum, sorted, etc. So demo time, I'm not going into to save the time. I mean, you have the code available in, I mean, all these things in GitHub. You can run it. Now enumerating iterables. So enumeration of the loop is sometimes necessary. So there is a built-in enumerate function. So as I am saying always, I mean, every time, that these are some of the tricks that I'm just introducing you guys to, but Python is a very strong language in that sense. I mean, there are lots of tricks, lots of basically people, contributors, so to say, who come up with fantastic libraries. So you try to basically get familiar with it. So anyway, so the built-in enumerate function allows to iterate over, okay, where did the, okay, that laser pointer go? Yeah, somehow I was missing it. So the built-in enumerate function allows to iterate over an iterable while keeping track of the iteration count. So what does it mean? I will just come through this by comparing these two your codes. The enumerate function accepts an iterable as an input. That is, what is an iterable? It can be list, tuple, strings, etc., which can be iterated over. And the items in the iterable are enumerated. Example code illustrating simplification of code. Problem statement is to record all the positions in a list where the value none is stored. So as I said, list can contain any type of Pythonic objects, right? So these are integers, 2, -10, 4, 8. Then there is some none. So none is a funny variable. I mean, it's just none type. It's a type defined in the Python, which is none of these types basically. I mean, whatever Pythonic objects you can create, whatever are standardly created, is just none of them. Okay, so non-indices is a list. So this is example list, and probably you know how to create a list. It is just start bracket and end bracket, right? So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements. So 0 to 5. The indices are. So Python starts with 0, just like C or C++. Non-indices, this is an empty list. So I am initializing with an empty list, and I want to basically store the indices 1, that is here, 2, 3, that is 3, 1 and 3, that these are the positions where none is there. This is just the loop counter. So without using enumeration and thus manually tracking iteration count, how can you do? So you have to iterate over this example list. It's an iterable, so you can iterate. So for item in example list, if item is none, this none indices this list you populate. You append it with the iter count, and iter count is equal to iter count plus 1. Iter count is initialized with 0. This is a very simple program, right? And you can print the position of none is this. Now it will give you 0, 1, 3, 1 and 3. Now you can do it in a little efficient way. I will show you, like, you can do it in one line even later in one of the slides. Here using enumeration, that is this iter count you don't need to initialize. It will come with this enumerate function. So if you enumerate, it will enumerate with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these elements. So for iter count item, so this enumerate actually gives you back two things: the item of the list and the indices, the iter count I am storing there. Then the same thing, if item is none, then none indices dot append is iter count. right? So you can just print from that list. So this is one simple, very simple use of enumerating. Generators are concept where are some concepts which you will probably find in any Python book, probably very later after OOP and so on. But I think, I mean, there is some advantage of knowing some of the tricks. So I'm just giving you, even like without uncovering the hood lot. So generators allow us to generate arbitrarily many times in a series without having to store them all in memory at once. So you are like trying to write an efficient code where memory is not loaded. So recall that a list readily stores all of its members. A generator, on the other hand, stores the instructions for generating each of its members. So it just stores the instruction. It does not store the member and stores its iteration state. That means the generator will know if it has generated its second member, and then it will generate the third member. So the state, by iteration state, we mean the generator will store what has been generated, like or which member has been generated. The next member it will generate next time, since the instruction is there. So this is some example of generator. So range is one very popular or widely used function in basically Python. So it has this syntax. So range actually gives you from the start. This is called start, the first argument. Second is stop, and the last one is step. So from 1 to 10, 10 has a catch, 10 will not be included. So starting from 1, it will generate every integer which is of gap 2. So 1, 3, 5, 7, etc. So these are the basically arguments for that. So it will start from 1, it will stop at 10, but excluding 10, and it will step by 2. So 1, then 3, then 5, then 7, then 9. Now, this is another use where the default values, some of the default values are shown. So for I in range 5, what that means is that if you just give one argument, that is the default start value is taken as 0. Since it is excluded, it will take the start as 0, and that is the default. What is included is this stop. So it is included. It is what is called a mandatory parameter, right? So the mandatory argument you have to give, and the step is also like default. If you don't give, it will take it as 1. So if you go through these comments in the code, it is also there. I mean in GitHub. So for I in range 5 means from 0 to 4 in step of 1, it will basically generate. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now, this is one plot that I did. I mean, when you use range in, and suppose you create a list of n integers from 0, 1, 2, 3, n. I mean, how to create the list? This is the most naive way, but you can generate in other ways. Just think that you generate in this naive way, that is start bracket and end bracket. And then if you basically see the memory consumption, you will see that like this is very much exponential, and this is constant, the range one, because it does not store the value. It just stores the basically the which has been generated and the instruction. So that's sort of the brief overview of generator. One very important concept is generator comprehension. We will come to list comprehension, etc. also. So Python provides a sleek syntax for defining a simple generator in a single line of code, known as generator comprehension. The syntax is any expression. So expression can be any valid single line of Python code that returns an object. For variable in iterable, and this means that optional. So this if condition is optional. So what is required is some expression for variable in iterable. So let us see. I mean, it is better to basically go with an example. So what it is saying that for I in range 100. So what is range 100? It is default is 0, that is start is 0, and default step is 1. So it will basically generate this number, these numbers 0, 1, 2, 3 to 99. So you are basically iterating over it, and you are returning I. You could have returned I square, I by 10, whatever, any valid Python basically syntax, okay, which returns an object, of course. Now, I for I in range this, if I remainder 2 is equal to 0. So that is basically when iterated over, it will generate a, or it will basically print all those or basically generate all those even numbers, but you can print them also. So you generate. So I can, how can you show that it has generated? So for that I am printing. So this is even gen. Then I'm just if you just print even gen, you will find, yeah. So I think it is given here. So you could have asked that, okay, I'm generating the numbers here in this line. Then for printing, why do I need to go for another for loop? Because this is a generator, so it does not store values. What did I say here? Without having to store them, it just stores the instruction. So then to show that, yeah, it has stored the instruction, I mean, you can just do, you are doing print, you could have done anything other than that also. So just to show I am that it has rightly generated by this even underscore gen, this generator comprehension, I'm printing. So if you try to print even gen, it will just give some generic thing. I mean, how does this come, etc. I'm not going into that. I mean, if you're interested, there are, I mean, lots of things. There are magic methods for that. Yeah, I mean, I have just touched what is magic method later, but yeah, it will just give a pointer to that even gen, just loosely speaking. Okay, so this is generator comprehension. Let me actually,
Sir,
yeah.
sir, in the 10th slide, you excluded yes, sir, on the right hand side image, 0 is excluded and 5 is included, right?
0 is excluded and 5 is included. Tell me, what do you understand of it? You tell me, then I will try
1,
to.
2, 3, 4, 5. These are the values of 5. Like.
No, not 1, 2, 3, 5. It is the default value is 0 of start. So when you don't, or when you give one number, one argument in range, it will take the mandatory parameter. Which is mandatory parameter? The stop. So it will it knows that I have to stop less than 5. So as I said, the stop, whatever value as stop is given, it will be excluded. Oh, sorry, this is a typo. Sorry, this is a typo. This will be excluded. I'll change that. So OS, can you please note this so that I can modify this? So this is excluded. Yes, yeah. By excluded, I means when it will print the list, it will exclude 5. So now you are giving 5, so it is from 0 to 4 that it will generate, and in steps of 1, right? Did you get, or I think you were confused by this typo, right? Yeah, that's a good catch. Okay, let me go to this kind of yeah.
So can you go with the previous slide?
Oh, sorry, what happened? Let me go with the next slide. Okay, okay. Yeah, you mean
Sir,
this?
event generator.
Yeah, this one, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, here in this line, sir, event generator, sir, is it an array?
Oh, this line you are saying?
Yes, sir.
No, it's not an array. It's a particular thing called generator, right? So it just, as I said, which is, okay, I think in the last slide it is given. I mean, if you just remember that it allows you to generate arbitrary many items in a series that you don't have to store, that will suffice, right? It's not an array. The easy answer is not an array. It's a generator. Generator is a different thing. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. You have to play with these codes a little bit to know, right? Okay. Okay, let me actually go to the next slide, because I think this is connected to the previous slide, and then I'll stop for if there is any other questions. So list and tuple comprehensions. So using generator comprehensions to, okay, okay, let me go again with the slide somewhat. Probably the pointer is needed.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Is range object an array?
No, 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 no. It's a generator. It's a generator. Okay. Laser pointer. Okay. Now, using generator comprehensions to initialize lists is so useful that Python actually reserves a specialized syntax for it, known as the list comprehension. The syntax is expression for var in iterable if condition. So if you just compare it with this one, it says expression for var in iterable if condition. Just it is actually how can I say? I mean, started and ended with the list, start list and end list symbol. So for a simple list comprehension. So this is one way to generate a list. So a simple list comprehension is this, that okay, I star 2, that is basically this is the syntax for to the power actually. So I squared for I in range this. So this range, it will generate from 0 to 9. It will I mean these 0 to 9s, all the i's, I mean all these numbers are taken and every number is just squared, so it will print this. So you are printing this list. So see the difference. If you go here, that is if you do print, then you just give this thing, which is just event gen. You are getting the example output as this generator object, right? I mean some pointer address. But if you just do this list instead of this braces or first brackets rather, you just use this third bracket, so to say. It prints the list because it is generating the list. Okay, so this is a I mean, you don't have to convert the generator to a list. It is just in single line it will do. So just go with these two codes, I mean the last one and this one. Just think carefully in your say laser time, you will get what I'm trying to mean, right? Now revisiting the example of finding the index of none in a list. So you remember the first one we started, said this is the list I am trying to find where none is. So this is just in one line you can do. So first thing is, okay, you have to enumerate the example list. So you are enumerating. So you are getting the items in that list and the IDs. Okay. Now IDs for so you are getting these two. You are taking only IDX. So for this IDX and item in this, you are taking IDX if item is none. So you are taking IDX here if item is none, and you are printing. So it is printing 1 3. So you see this. This is kind of the tricks that you can use. I mean, try to make it efficient. Though I don't always agree with efficiency being same as a less number of code, because it might be that understanding the code is easier. I mean, probably more important sometimes. But yeah, it's a debatable thing. But yeah, you can write it in one line.
Sir,
Okay. Yeah.
sir, in that generating function part,
Which slide, if you can?
last previous slide from this.
This one.
Yes, sir. Sir, even gen is an means syntax of the generator comprehensions, or it's a variable?
It's a variable. It's a variable. It is just so generally in Python objects, what you assign is generally they are the pointer to that objects similarly. But yeah, I mean, you don't need to go into that much complications. It's just you can think it is a variable that stores the comprehension. The result.
Okay, so we can assume that it is a macro. It is just displacing this for loop to print.
No. This is a generator, as I said. It is not replacing the for loop. It can replace many other things, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So just have, I mean, this just at this point for your purpose, take it as just the start and maybe just try to see how you can use it. I mean, as I'm saying, we don't want you guys to go into much in the hood, what is happening under the hood. I mean, there are, if you are familiar with the usage, then you can try to have these questions and so on. And since it is not a Python class, I mean, it's just probably 1.5 hour lecture on Python. So it's not easy to basically convey all these ideas. And believe me, I don't also know all these intricacies. Okay. But yeah, things needs to get done. That's the motto. Anyway, so ITER tools, yeah, ITER tool is another, again, just the last slide before I go to some OOP concepts in Python. This is, again, just take it as trick. Okay, what is the definition of ITER tools, how they are defined, etc. You can find it in like those big volume Python books. You can try to use that. But yeah, so Python has a module. So sometimes the standard libraries in Python, they are called module, and you will actually create one module in your, that is one part of the assignment, just to create a module. So module basically means that it is portable. You can give it to someone else and he can also use it. Of course, with the help of some documentation, but at least it's just like, I mean, loosely called, you can think that it is replacement of an installer, though nothing gets installed. Okay, just codes gets copied, which provides a core set. But yeah, I mean, you can forget about what is it. Just Python provides some memory efficient tool for creating iterators. The majority of these functions create generators, thus we will have to iterate over them in order to show the use of them. So okay, so zip function is something like this. Suppose these are the name of like 4 students. The exam 1 scores for each of them respectively are these. Exam 2 scores are respectively of these. Now, if you use this zip function, what the name suggests, it does that. It zips the 3 lists. So names, exam 1 scores and exam 2 scores. It is different from concatenation. Concatenation would have resulted like this 4, then this 4, then this 4. Zip, what it takes is that, okay, it takes the first element of the first list, first element of the second list, and first element of the third list, and that is one element of this list, and this individual one element of this list is the tuple. That is the way to define a tuple, right? So what are lists, tuples, etc. You can actually get a very good introduction to it in this Python NumPy tutorial, the initial part of it. Okay, just container, if you just think different types of containers. Some are editable, some are non-editable. Tuple is, I think they are called mutable, non-mutable. Those things, again, I mean, it will take 2-3, I mean, at least 1 semester for getting familiar with these Python concepts, right? So I'm not going again. I'm not even trying.
Sir, if the any one of the list has the size different than other lists, so at that time, how will the zip function work?
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't have a ready answer. You have to just try. How can you try? You go to zip. I mean, why I'm saying you can try. It probably, if I remember it right, it probably will give some error. Otherwise, it might take some default value. So Python is a thing that you need to explore. So whatever the GitHub, yeah, let me just go there just to show you what you can do to go there to do. So GitHub is open, generator comprehension. Probably this is where you have the code. We have the code. Okay, so you see, but yeah, this is the code that I was showing. So what you have to do is just add, say, with David somebody else. Suppose your name you add, and don't add anything in these 2 variables. Then just run it and see, right? Does that answer your question? At least how to get it? Okay.
Okay. Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, if for some reason, sir, suppose one of the array length has shorter than the other ones.
Yeah, that is the question I think the previous person asked. That if the let us do it, right? Let us do it. Why am I? Okay. Just once again, give me. Let us do it. This is the one. What is your name? Rudrak? Who asked the question? Maybe I'm just speaking Rudrak.
Sir, Jay.
Oh, Jay. Okay. Jay. So let me just, yeah, I'm saving it. Then it is 02 Gen comprehensive tools. Okay. So it is inside where 02. Okay. Okay, you see it is okay. There are lots of things that it is actually taking the shortest one. What I am getting is that it is not taking J. That is, it is taking Angie, Brian. Okay, let me just try to make it a little font is high. So Angie, Brian, Cassie, and David. It is just ignoring the last one. So let me try to be sure. Let me just use J here and David here. Okay, let's see then what happens. I mean, all these codes I'm ignoring. I mean, this I have to comment out maybe just to show this part. Yeah, so you see now it came J. So it is probably ignoring. So you have to just go into the zips documentation in Python. Maybe just try to see the help. Okay, what happens with that, and you will get it right. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay, thanks. Okay, let me again go to this. So there is this combinations. You can just read it. I mean, it's just tell that, okay, I mean, 0, 1, 2, 3 in this list, all the all possible combinations, taking 3 out of it, it will generate. So this is just an example. You might not need it anywhere. Okay. Okay, any questions before I proceed to again Python? I mean, object-oriented programming in Python, but yeah, it will be just a brush up. I'm just scratching the one small part of the surface. If there is any questions. Yeah, I'll just pour my coffee over in that time. Okay, in that case, let us go ahead. So object-oriented programming in Python. So we will discuss some key terminology for object-oriented programming in Python. Most references will be made along the topics getting covered in the theory class. The class keyword is reserved for defining a class. So of course, object-oriented program, first thing you need to know is class and object, right? So the following defines a new class of object named Tor. So this is the name of the class. Specifying 2 attributes, numbers and status, and 2 member functions, open and close. So this, you know that a class has attributes, methods, sometimes it is called members, right? So there are, like, it's a door class. So what is the door number, sort of what is the door ID, and what is the status? Status can be, say, open or closed, whether it is open or closed. And what is this? This weird looking function underscore, it's not a like hyphen, it's double underscore, init underscore. Then you are passing self, number and status. So this is basically the format for defining, or the syntax for defining the constructor, right? So whenever you are creating an instance of an, sorry. Just give me a second. So when you need basically when you define an object, you need, say, you want to pass some of the attribute values to a default value. So you remember that range. It's a generator, but still you can find basically, or you can think that, okay, I am giving some parameters, some parameters are taken by default. So so which one to give, that is defined when you are defining, say, a class. So which are optional arguments. This I have not shown here, but there are ways to pass or specify what is an optional argument. Now, if the optional argument, though the argument is optional, that argument may be actually setting some other attributes, some attributes. So, and that attribute is maybe required or used in some functions. So where will it get that value from? So you have to also tell, if you are specifying that, okay, it's a optional parameter, you have to also tell if this is not passed by the user, what will be its default value, right? So But Python in many cases, I mean, very, very much flexible. So suppose it's you don't provide it, it will just try to judge from the context what type of a variable it is. It will just assign the default value for that variable. So again, I mean, I'm probably digressing a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I don't know whether how to define a optional parameter, etc., is covered in here. But yeah, you will, if you need to, you will be able to find it. Now this is the task that this class at least does. It defines a constructor where you pass this number and status. The self object, this is always needed. Just take it as a syntax that okay, any method or any, yeah, I mean, the constructor is also a method. It's a special method that you define inside a class. You need the first argument is the self keyword. And self, you know, it self-reference is the object, right? So self.number. So I'm not going into, again, I'm probably digressing for say 30 seconds. So there are member functions for class itself. So specific to class, that's not just the object. So these are what are you defining inside this constructor, etc. That is for the object. So let's see how we can use this number, status, etc. So methods of a class must accept as first argument a special value called self. The name is a convention, but please never break it. So that is one thing. I said constructor. I also said the special method init works as a constructor. Now you define an object. So the small door one is door one closed. So you see the definition is number and status you are finding. So then if you try to print door one dot number, so how can you access the attributes? It is object dot the attribute name. So gives one. So this you can think that this is a little surprising to whoever has say worked in strongly typed languages to this and like strongly not strongly typed, rather more following the object oriented protocols, where encapsulation, this private member, public member, those things just does not make sense here. I mean, you can do it. I think I have one slide at the very end, how to do encapsulation, but you can very well, and this is the flexibility, but flexibility also brings about some downfall also. That as you go ahead and use Python in your life, you will see. So door1.number gives 1 because you initialized it with 1, and door1.status gives closed. Now, if you run this door1.open, no arguments have been passed, but it was declared to accept an argument self. So if you go to the definition of this open, you see that there is one argument that is getting that is required, right? Self. But when you call a method of an instance, the instance is passed to the method as the first arguments automatically. So this is the role of the keyword self. So this is a little weird thing, but just get used to it. Now print door1.status, it gives then open. Why? Because when you execute that method, just self.status changes to open, right? So type now if you try to print the type of door1, so type means the what type of variable this is. It gives main.door. So basically this capital D tells that it is an object of class door. So type returns the class. So if you suppose give type then 2, it will give int. So it's the same sort of thing, right? Returns the class as main.door since the class was defined directly in interactive cell. So if you just go into documentation of this special basically dunder attributes, dunder, I mean, okay, what is dunder? Double underscore name then double underscore. So this double underscore, this thing is shortcutted as dunder. So it is basically sometimes it is called magic methods or magic attributes, or magic or dunder methods or dunder attributes. So these if you go into all these documentations, you will see the nitty-gritties of it. Of course, it is again, it is not possible to tell about all this. It's not a Python programming class, right? Okay, playing with the addresses. Create one more door object with some attribute. Suppose door 2 is 1 but closed. So door 1 was 1 but 1 closed, and again door 2 is one unclosed. Now you can also get the address. These are the syntax to get. So ID of door1, the object, then it will convert to hex. Then you print it. It gives this. ID of door2 is different. You see this is different. But if you print the ID, that is basically the address of both objects class, they are same because it is coming from the same class, right? So door1 __ class. Yeah. So that this is again another special attribute that gives the class name. Any Python object is automatically given a dict attribute which contains its list of attributes. So object, think the, I mean, important part is object, which is say the small door 2 or small door 1. If you do this dict yeah, I mean it is equally true for class, and class is also an object in some sense. Yeah, again, I don't want to confuse you, but yeah, maybe that is a little confusing. I'll delete this object word, which contains its lists of attributes, because class also allows its own attributes, right? So it must have some way to find what attributes and what methods are there. So try to actually get the try to print this. I mean, if you I mean, all these codes are given, at least this class definition, etc. is given. So when you are using this class, just try to see if you print this what it is giving. You can also get the attribute value also. So it's a dictionary. So I don't know whether you are familiar with dictionary. So dictionary has it's a container, special type of a container, right? So it has key and value. So I mean, this status is the key. So just try to, again, I think, yeah, best list is best source is this to know about these containers. I think it has list, tuple, dictionary, and something else. 4 containers. It has detailed discussion. Okay. Yeah. Now, any questions on this part? I know there will be lots of questions, but if you can ask a few, I can try to answer. You are hearing me? I'm just trying to. Okay. I probably.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, these things don't go hand in hand. I mean, this PowerPoint presentation and these Teams. I mean, I cannot access Teams now. Okay, great. Let us go to inheritance and overriding. So let us try to create a subclass of door called security door, which has an additional attribute. I think these examples were taken from the first link, that Digital Cat Online, probably. Just check. Which has an additional attribute that provides the information whether the door is locked. So you have this class security door. It inherits from door. So this tells it inherits from door. Now this is the subclass constructor. It takes number, status, and an optional parameter which is locked. And this is how you specify an optional parameter. So locked equal to true. So basically what I mean by this is that the parameter name, then its value, the default value, because it's optional. If the user don't pass it when creating the security door object, it will take the default value as true, something like that. It can be locked equal to 1, locked is equal to 5, is equal to none even. So that means even if it does not pass, that is the user does not pass the value of the argument, it will just take it as none. So this is the constructor, and generally this is a good practice that you call the superclass constructor. So how to get the superclass? Superclass means the parent class, I think that is called in C++. So super dot init number status. So super dot, then its constructor you are referring to. Then only self dot locked is locked. So what is the idea here? That you are basically creating a subclass security door which has an additional attribute which is locked. So the non-additional attributes which are also there in simple door or its parent class, you are just calling the constructor for that. You are just setting a number is equal to self dot number, status is equal to self dot status, because that was the init method in door that was doing, right? So you are just calling this, and the additional parameter locked you are setting, okay, whatever the user has told. Now there are some additional methods. These open and close methods are also available to this inherited class, right? Now you can override it, so I'm coming to that, but you can define the new some new methods, right? So lock door, it basically says that self.locked is equal to true and unlocked door is self.locked is false, just setting this attribute to true or false, right? Now you are overriding open, which was previously self.status is open. So if you call the method open, it will just open the door. Here what you are saying that if it is locked, it will do nothing. So if self is locked, then it cannot open, and if it is unlocked, then you just open it. So overriding, right? So you are overriding the behavior of the same method that is defined in the parent class. So in Python you can override a parent class member simply by redefining in the child class. So this is the syntax. Instead of super, you could have used door, that is door the class name dot init or door.open, etc. However, using super is encouraged, as you can probably get the idea that you would otherwise need to look into what is the parent class, and then maybe there are like hierarchy of inheritance. So you just have to go and look through the hierarchy and try to define it. But if you use this, then Python does the hierarchy resolution for multiple inheritance, right? So this is just a at this moment, just take it as an advice, just to use the super method. Yeah.
Let us say we have a class and which inherits security door.
Yes. Yes.
Then if we call super for a particular function and both the functions are present in the door class and security door class as well, then which one will be called?
Yes, that's a good question. If I remember it right, the resolution, so that is what is called the hierarchy resolution. The resolution will first look if that member is present in its immediate parent, right? If that function, if that is present, it will just call that. So everything in the hierarchy gets overridden, right? So it wherever it finds first, it will go up one level. It will try to look for that method. If it finds, it will just take that. If it does not find, then it will go up one more level and see and so on. So ultimately, if it does not find anywhere, it will just throw an error. Right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Again, with the catch, if I remember it right, so you just need to check it. But if I think that's more reasonable a choice. You can check it, right? I mean, you can just create another class and do it, right?
So maybe like on this issue also, I can tell that this is the general question of inheritance. So we will also cover this in the C++ portion. Yeah? So then there also we will discuss how which version of the function gets called. So there is a general principle there also there.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, let us go ahead then. Okay. Okay, so behavior of an object of type security door. Now, just some example of creating a security door. Then if you just call these methods and so on. So sDoor1 is a security door with ID number 2 and it is closed. So you have not passed the value of whether locked is or not. So you see locked is true will be inherently passed, right? So sDoor1 dot status prints closed because you have passed closed. Remember that the door is locked because default value of this lock parameter is true. So open will not have any effect. So sDoor1 dot open, it will go to where? It will go to here, and it finds that it is true. Self.locked is true, so it will not change anything, right? So now if you do sDoor1 dot open, it's and then again print the status, it still prints closed. Now unlock the door. So sDoor1 dot unlock door. So this unlock door will happen and self.locked is false. So you unlock door. Now you call this sDoor1 dot open. So sorry. So this is the sDoor1 dot where is it? Yeah, open. So if self.locked is so now it is false because you have unlocked the door, and then it will go into this line super.open, which was again in the superclass defined. The super.open is open, right? Yeah, just you need to go through these things a little bit, and then if you print the status, it means open. So try these methods to see. I mean, try these methods means try to print these methods. Yeah, somebody was asking something.
Like if I initialize the security door with closed status,
Right.
then
Yeah,
it will be closed.
That is what.
No, not closed. With open.
Okay.
Then the security door will be opened, but in the constructor it is locked. So it is locked and open at the same time. Right?
Yeah, probably that's a flawed logic, right? You are saying, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is the business case is actually flawed, right? But yeah, at least I mean the Python will not throw any error, right? Yeah. So I just tried to come up with some example, and that's I see that it's a little flawed. Yeah, you can check that. Okay, if the status is open and you are not passing true, you can just print an error message that okay, you cannot pass status open with log true, something like that, right? Does it give you a sense of what you can do?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sir, when the self.log was false.
This slide you are seeing, right?
Yes, sir. When we came after unlocking the door, the self.log was false. So, sir, how it is going to super.open?
Oh, I mean, you are saying, okay, I mean, can you just point me to what you are telling? So
yes, sir.
So you are saying that
door1 dot unlock door. So now the log is self.log is false.
S.1 status is closed. You are saying you are running this S.1 dot unlock door, right?
Yes, sir.
If you go here, unlock door, it is self.locked is false. So it has become false.
Yes,
now let's see what you are doing. S.1 dot open, right? So what is S.1 dot open? It is first checking if self.locked is true or false. If it is true, then it just does not go here. I mean, before even executing this, it is written.
Okay.
You get it?
Yes, sir, got it, sir.
Yeah, it is like, I don't know, I mean, I forgot frankly, in self.locked, if you in a C style program, probably you have to always tell that self.locked is equal to true, right? And
yes,
here,
sir, I thought we are returning super.open.
Oh, no. So see, this indentation, you know about Python?
Oh, sir.
Yeah, so this is like if whatever you will write, so okay, so this is if self.log, right? So this is the if condition. Then whatever you will write with this much indentation after this if, until you write anything which is like without this indentation, that will come under if. So let me just go to the editor and just describe this to you. Where is it, class? This, I don't know which one. No, not this. Yeah, so security, okay. How to increase the font size, hopefully, yeah. So yeah, so security door. So this means that if you do say print the door is locked. Sorry, the door is locked. Can't open, something like that. Right? If you do that, I'm not running it, but it means that everything that is after if and before this non-indented part, it will be inside if. So it's like in C, you are writing this. It's like this, okay? But I think this will give a syntax error. So encounter these something. So I mean, this is just the semantics in Python. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, let me go probably to the last slide of the object-oriented programming. Yeah, encapsulation. Again, this, as I said earlier, that I mean, encapsulation is not hard constraint here. You can follow some protocol to make it like that. Okay, there are these two attributes, number and status. So get number, set number, so getter, setter, etc. you can do, but without even getter, setter, you can just directly go into these attributes. Now, this is just a protocol. I mean, if you are actually starting it with a single underscore in attribute name, then it's a private. It is supposed to be a private member, but there is no way Python enforces it, right? So it's just a small flash of this concept. So if you want to have a Pythonic way, there is something called property decorators, getter, setters. So there is a good link that is given. So you can go and brush your concepts there. Now these magic methods. So yeah, anybody has any questions? I think somebody.
One thing in Python classes, like we have in C++ and Java, we have to actually define the variables that we have to mention inside the class. In Python, just the constructor will do. I mean, if I just write constructor and then write self this self dot that, and that will do.
Right. I think your question is like the type of the argument you are not giving, right? Like the int, float.
Not exactly type. Python does not care about types. I know that at least. But I'm asking that I need not say from beforehand what are the members of the class.
Oh, okay. Like the set list. Yeah. Like the header file concept you are saying. Like in header files, you need to declare the variables. I mean, I'm not getting what.
Okay, suppose let me give an example. Suppose I create a class student. So I can write, so in C++, I can do something like a string name, then int ID. I mean, I have to first declare, right, what variables are there inside the class.
So maybe I can take that. Yeah. So basically, see, in Python, you don't declare anything. Even normal variables, you don't have to declare. See, in C++, you have to declare normal variables also, right?
Yes.
So basically the concept there is that, see, Python is an interpreted language, okay? So the first time you use it, automatically the interpreter, creates that variable. Okay, so in Python it is, so it is not.
I got your question now. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Please, it's complete.
So in Python, it is not like, like the memory has to be allocated at compile time, or not allocated, but the memory has, a particular variable refers to a memory slot, and that has to be decided at the compile time itself.
Yes.
That complication is not there. Okay, so as it is defined, basically the interpreter creates that variable. So not defined actually as the first use. So the first time you just assign something to a variable, the interpreter automatically defines it. So I hope it answers.
Yes, sir, I understand that, but sir, we do please go to the previous slide once.
Sir, I think he's talking about attributes that we have not specified what attributes are required. And we are directly writing self.name.
Not exactly attributes. See, in the dev.init, in the def of the init function, we are writing self.number equal to number, self.status equal to status. So I'm asking that how does Python get to know that in my class door, I have a member variable called number, I have a member variable called status.
No, the first time you are doing, right? So self.anything is a member variable.
Yeah, in Pythonic way, you don't need to like declare that what are the numbers. So
self is like this. You can say so. Just like this, self is like this. This pointer in Python. Okay. So self.anything is a member variable. Understood?
Yeah, when you are typing that for the first time, it defines Python. I mean, Python defines it for you. That's the thing.
May I?
Yeah,
May
yeah,
I?
yeah. Yeah.
See, there are two fundamentally different concepts in Python compared to C or C++ that we are referring here. One is Python uses dynamic typing, which means that we do not need to specify any static type for a variable. Whatever is the last assignment, the type of the variable is obtained from that. So the same variable within the execution of the program can take different types. The second part, the other part is that Python depends on dynamic binding. So we are set with our mindset of C, C++ kind of language where we have a static binding. That is all the memory variables that we are going to use. Forget about dynamic allocation for now. That's a different concept altogether. But all the variables that we are going to use, whether they're automatic or they're static, they will all be defined when the program is getting compiled. So it's not only that in Python, it's not only that I'm not requiring to declare a variable of any type. I'm not declaring the variable at all. So what memory that variable will take, or what will be the memory address for that variable, that is dynamically decided in Python. That is what is called the dynamic binding, which in contrast in C, C++ is static binding.
So just one question, PPT. So this is decided in runtime, right? You mean?
This is totally decided in runtime. Python is an interpreted language.
Yes.
So PVM maintains a runtime dictionary or the runtime symbol table of the program that is running. So when you use a variable by initializing it to a value, two things happen. One is a dynamic binding is created. That is, in that dictionary, there is an entry for that variable. So which defines that it does exist. So it will have some memory location dynamically given at that point of time where that value of that variable will exist. And the second is the runtime dictionary also will put a type based on the type of the value that you have assigned to it. Right?
Oh.
So if you keep this dynamic nature in mind, then you can think that, okay, a class is as good as its constructor. You have constructed, fine. Now, if you say self dot certain data member, the fact that you are using that data member name tells the Python runtime that I'm using this data member. So I can use that data member. Right? With that, I mean, obviously, what we are trying to do is more often define all those data members at the time of defining the constructor. But it is possible that I can also add data members in that way. That is the reason I can change when I inherit, I can change the type of the data member because there is no type. Nobody has a type. Everything is dependent on what type you are assigning at the runtime. Right. So let's not get so much into depth of how this happens and so on. Later on in the next year, when you do the compilation techniques and how languages maintain the dynamic and static binding as well as dynamic and static typing, you will understand this whole mechanism much better. But being interpreted, Python does give you these advantages, which are, really fun to program with. Sorry, Abir, I just wanted to mention these points to the students because they are naturally, Python naturally is a psychological shock from the C style of programming that we have bombarded them with.
Yeah. So this is discussion. I think the question was very good. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Understood, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Any other question before I proceed to these magic methods?
Also, sir, that means that init method is not necessary for a class.
Yes. Yes, there will be classes that you can see that does not require. You can just run that code without init, it will done. You can define it in the subclass also if required.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so let us go ahead with these two slides and then I'll come to this NumPy, etc., which you will be requiring in these assignments. So this is again nothing magical about it. They are special methods with fixed names. These are special methods rather. These are a set of predefined methods you can use to enrich your classes. They are easy to recognize because of this dunder thing. So double underscores at the beginning and at the end. We already encountered this underscore underscore. Yeah, why it is dunder I have told. Now. So what's magic about the magic or dunder methods? The answer is you don't have to invoke it directly. The invocation is realized behind the scenes. When you create an instance of a class, Python makes the necessary call to init method. So you don't have to invoke it, right? To get the length of say string, tuple, list, you can call len. However, I mean, this is a function, but under the hood, what I mean, it calls is this dunder len method. So suppose you have you are defining a class, and for that class you need to know okay how many members. I mean it's a particular type of a container. Say you are defining that that will be required by you. So len may not work. So you need to add a len definition of this len method. So if you do that, then you can use len then your object name of the class. That will serve the same purpose. So this is again, I think. Okay, so so this is the use of this. So the above prints the distance between max and mean values of a set of 1D points. So it is just 1D point for ease of understanding. So there is a special magic method for every operator sign. The magic method for plus sign is this side. Okay, so these are like other magic methods for plus, minus. So you can use it to define the characteristic for the add sign. So whatever you want your objects behavior would be. Suppose you have defined two objects, object 1 and object 2. Then if you want that, okay, you will run object 1 plus object 2. This sort of behavior you want. So that you need to define under this dunder add method. So similarly, this len, I'm not going again into the detail, but yeah, this, if you just go into it, you will find that it is printing the distance between max and mean value. So list of important magic methods are these. These are again, it will help you to basically create some of the very exciting things that you might be wanting to incorporate in your code so that easily you can use it.
Sir,
yeah.
Sir, what is the points in?
Sorry.
Sir, what is points in init method, dunder init method, like constructor in the constructor?
Yeah, it is just 1D points. So so here you see points 1D is the class. So it is just tuple I am just finding. I mean, you can find you can pass a list also, any container rather. Okay, so it's list of integers you can say. Okay, and you want to find the distance between max and mean value. So what is the max value as 18 and mean value is -5. So like 18 minus -5 that it will give. Right, it's a simple thing. I mean, you can do it for a vector of say or a list of 2D vector points. So that also, I mean, you have to, of course, the logic will be different. The distances you have to compute and so on. But yeah, this is so that the life is easier here. I am just using 1D points, right? So so len, if your class you want that you are creating an object point set, and your length of that point set basically means the range so of that integers or of those real numbers, you can use this len point set. You see len point set, so that you I mean it does it, that is this point set object actually gives that when you use this len function, you have to define your behavior in this special method, this underscore underscore len underscore underscore. So that's it, right? I mean, you have several, suppose you have two such sets, point set, okay. You want that, okay, when you do say addition for these two objects, say point set 1 and point set 2, it will just concatenate it, these two. So you have to define that inside plus, which is underscore underscore add. So you have to write a def underscore underscore add self, then you just run those. I mean, code that. I mean, concatenate and return basically, right? So these things and sub, etc. So basically, how do you want? I mean, I think operator overloading will come later in the theory course. So you can loosely connect it to operator overloading basically. So list of important magic methods are given in this. Okay.
Sir.
Any other questions before I go to NumPy? Yeah.
In the class definition, you have written underscore underscore len, and while calling, you are removing the underscores.
Yes. This is.
So is this all functions or just for these some specific magic methods?
Right. This is for some specific magic methods, and you can even if you just run point set dot underscore underscore len underscore underscore bracket open and close, it will do the same thing. So there are two ways to basically call it. So it's one way is that you can just call dot, I mean the object dot method. Other is for this particular magic method, you have a separate name, that is len. For this particular magic method add, you have this plus, or you can tell it the other way around, that okay, whatever you are doing for an integer, say in plus, it is defined inside this magic method in that integer class in Python. I mean, it's internal. Okay. Does it answer your question?
Okay, sir.
Sir, if we want to define a add method, so then we also need to pass the object of the same class as argument.
Yeah. So self and then probably you are comma some other point, say point 2. Yeah. So that depends on your like behavior of the function, right? And I forgot about the like how to do it for indefinite number of parameters. So there is some way, but yeah, I frankly forgot. You can quickly find it, because add can work on many arguments, not just 2, right?
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, when do we use single and double inverted comma in Python?
Oh, I think, yeah, that's, yeah, I mean, what I remember is as a rule, use the double inverted comma. It's because I think characters and strings, I think string, yeah, I mean, I frankly forgot. I have to look at it. Probably double will take anything as string, double quotes. Single quotes will not take anything as string. Like the escape characters. I forgot, frankly. I'll have to check. I'll check and let you know. But yeah, I mean, as a rule, I always do double quote. Any other questions? Okay, now let us quickly go to this last part of the thing, that is NumPy, Matplotlib, etc. that you need. So these are basically special libraries that comes with Python. NumPy is a core library for scientific computing. So you will get many linear algebra, many other computation that you can do. You can define arrays, matrices, many dimensional arrays, matrices, etc. So it provides high performance multi-dimensional array object and tools for working with these arrays. So if you just try to see that, okay, list is also an array, and NumPy also has its own method of defining array. So so you are just creating, suppose the size is how much, 1 lakh. That is, you want to create a list of 1 lakh numbers, integers, I mean 0 to whatever, 90,000, 99,999, and you are creating a NumPy array also. So you are just creating 2 such list first. This is list, and L3 is an empty list. Now you just tracking the time. I mean, this is another library time, so you can track the time of execution of your code. Now for I in range size, you are just trying to basically sum these two lists. So basically 1 lakh numbers, you are summing corresponding numbers and you are adding it to L3. So that way you can do some array addition, right? I mean, just think it in C way that, okay, this is the C way. So you have 2 arrays defined. You want to find the sum of the 2 arrays. So probably inside a for loop, you will append the third list with the sum of these numbers, right? So if you do it and print the like how much time it takes for 1 lakh numbers, it is like coming as 0.02 seconds. But if you do it in the NumPy way, that is, you are defining basically NumPy array. So you are importing it as NumPy. So this is probably called alias. So this NumPy thing, you don't need to type like NumPy.add, NumPy.array. It's like NP. And yeah, this is where this operator overloading is there. So okay, again, I'm not going into. If I get time, I'll go into. So size is this 1 lakh. You are creating now not list but a NumPy array of integers from 0 to 99,999. 2 arrays. Now you are just adding them, right? So this is where the overloading is come. So it basically sees that, okay, A1 and A2 are of NumPy array. So it will just do its addition, whatever is defined in NumPy as the addition, right? And it will give the same results as A3, and it does it very fast. So probably almost 200 times fast. So operating on NumPy arrays are way faster than looping on lists. The trick is to replace all the loops by the vectorized operations allowed on NumPy arrays. So basically the NumPy arrays operations you as much as you can in your assignment try to do. This is the reference, so you will get this sort of how to do this. I mean, different I would say operations on NumPy arrays. This reference is very good. Then a NumPy array is a grid of value, all of the same type, and is indexed by a tuple of non-negative integers. The number of dimensions is the rank of that. Basically, the 1D array means just a vector, you can say. 2D means a matrix. It can have 3D, 4D arrays. The shape of an array is a tuple of integers giving the size of the array along each dimension. So suppose you think that it's a 2D array, right? So how many rows and how many columns are there? That you can know by this shape comment, right? So use so these are, again, I mean, it's just brushing. So you will try to get familiar with these things as you go ahead with the assignment. So again, importing NumPy as NP. This is creating a rank 1 array. That means basically 1-dimensional array. This is creating a 2-dimensional array. How to do it? So this is 1, 2, 3 is first row, 4, 5, 6 is the second row, and so on. And this is another way, create an array of all zeros. So you might sometimes need to create an array of, say, that is 2-dimensional or rank 2, that is a matrix, where you have 2 rows and 2 columns, all with 0. So if you print that, it will come like this. NP1s, this is the same thing where you, so this is like 1 row and 2 column. So it's just a row vector. It is filled with all 1. Its full means it's a again, this argument tells that you have 2 row, 2 column, and all the values are 7. So this is 7, 7, 7, 7. I is identity matrix. So identity matrix, you know, the diagonals are 1 and everything else is 0. So it's a 2 by 2 identity matrix you are creating. And this is how you create a random array. So np random.random. So create an array filled with random values. So I mean, when we ran, it came like this. It can give different values. So these are the basically things that I have told, just written as bullet points. So this is how you create arrays, 2D, 3D. You can do like 2, 2, 2. NP0 is 2, 2, 2. It will be a 3D array. Each dimension will have 2 members, and it will have all zeros. You can even do 2, 2, 3. That means the third dimension will have 3 members, right? So how can you get? I think that is not given, like what is the shape of it. So if you do a dot shape, for this it will give 2, 2. For if you do b dot shape, it will give 1, 2, and so on. Now NumPy offers several ways to index into it. So this is important, and this you will find important in your one of the tasks in the assignment, that is cropping an image. So images can be read in Python as arrays. Okay, NumPy arrays. So you are probably familiar, all of you, with the cropping operation. So if to crop an image, say from the middle of it, so you need to take only some rows and some columns. So how do you do this? Is called slicing. So similar to Python lists, but you must specify slice for each dimension of the array. So lists also support slicing. So what does it mean? Let us go ahead with these examples. Suppose it's a rank 2 array. Yeah. Somebody has some question? Hello. Okay, let me go ahead with it. So I hope you can hear me. Just I'm checking, because yeah, again, this Python.
Yes, you can hear.
That is a pointer. Okay, so use slicing to pull. Okay, so this is to create an array where, like, you have 3 rows and 4 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is how you create it. Now use slicing to pull out the. Yeah, please.
Sir, what do you mean here by rank 2 array?
Yeah, you just think that is the dimension. Okay, so 2-dimensional. I mean, when rank 2, it means it's a matrix. When rank 3, it's a 3-dimensional array. So you have 3 axes, right? So you have done in C, like 2-dimensional array, 3-dimensional array. You have done it. So in Pythonic term, it is just called rank, nothing else. So you can, I mean, in colloquial terms, we always call its dimension.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Though it is not exactly the same as mathematical dimension, right? So in linear algebra, dimension is different, right? Okay, anyway, so use slicing to pull out the subarray consisting of the first 2 rows and columns 1 and 2. What are these? First 2 rows is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But we are not taking the whole of the 2 rows. We are taking column 1 and 2. That is 2, 6, 3, 7. So how do you get from a subarray which is just this 2, 3, and 6, 7? So for that, you need to do this. So A, then like this bracket open and end, in between this colon 2. This basically, I mean, if you are not familiar with it, try to just be familiar with it. But what it does, I'm trying to tell. So if you have anything in front of this colon, it will start from there and it will end at a number just before it. So again, anything that is there, it is included. Anything after, it is excluded. Just try to draw parallel to range, the inclusion and exclusion. Once you are familiar with it, you just will have hard time to basically forget. But it will be hard to basically explain also. So and now here you see there is no number. So again, so in front of the colon. So that means it will take from 0. That is the start default value is 0. So what this like colon 2 means is that it will take 0 and 1. These 2 rows, because this is the first dimension before comma. After comma is the second dimension. It will start at 1, end at 2, because 3 is excluded. So 0, 1 is the rows and 1 and 2 are the columns. Now see the statement of it. The first 2 rows, that means 0 and 1 rows, and column 1 and 2, that is 1 and 2. So it prints 2, 3, 6, 7. Is this clear? This part?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So there is another catch to it. I mean, you can also use another colon here. So suppose you do 1 colon. Suppose it's it has 5 columns. Just think that this is a 3 row and 5 column. Okay, not 4. If I do 1 colon 5 colon 2, what do you think it will take? Which columns do you think? 1 colon 5 colon 2.
First
Column
and
1, 5, 2.
1 and
1 to
3.
5 with a
Single
set of
column.
2
Just
plus 3.
one by one. Anyone?
1 and 3.
Yes, 1 and 3. Anything, anyone? I said it. It's yes. So yeah. So the idea is that if you have a second colon and you have anything after that, that will be the step, just like the range, right? It was start, stop, and then step. So it is like 1, then 1 plus 2, that is 3. Then 3 plus 2 is 5, but we are excluding 5. So it will stop there. So 1, 5, 2 means it will take 1 and 3. Is this clear to everyone who is not familiar with this colon notation, slicing notation?
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, if we don't have a like we are creating np dot array and the lists are being put into the input. So if the lists are not of size 4, some are of size 4, some are of size 5, then how will this work?
No, this will not work then. Yeah, you have to maintain that compatibility.
So, but that is defined, means we can define like that, right?
No, I mean, it will throw you an error. Like if you give like 4 numbers here, 4 numbers here, and 3 here, it will not work.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way is to check. I'm just telling it from common sense and maybe some experience. But easiest way is to check, right? But yeah, any question on that colon or slicing notation on that 3? I mean, that is using 2 colons, etc. So there are very much interesting use of these colons. So you can even use negative indexing also. I'm not telling what that means, but you will get familiar with it. Okay, so you try what is negative slicing in NumPy or Python. Okay, use integer array addressing to construct an arbitrary array from A. Yeah, so you can use an integer array also. So the elements in the array are say A00, A11, A20. So this is like prints 169. That means this 1, 6, and 9. So you are trying to print 012, 010. How does it work is that it will take one element from here and the corresponding element from here. So when you are writing it in this format, 0, 0, it will take 1, 1, 2, 0. And if you go to 0, 0, it is 1, 1, 1 is 6, and 2, 0 is, yeah, so 9, yeah, so 2 and 0. Right, so this is yeah. So second row, 0th column, that is 9. So you got this 0, 0, 1, 1. It is just getting paired 2, 0. These numbers will get printed. Right. Another way is create an array of indices. So 0, 1, 2, 0, 2, 1. Select one element from each row of using. I mean, I'm not just describing these things too much. I mean, I think it's too boring at this moment. Already like 3:45 it has been. You just go ahead and all the like comments are there. If there is anything we can discuss in Teams, right? Broadcasting is an important thing, and that sometimes brings about some problem. So what is broadcasting? So broadcasting is a powerful mechanism that allows NumPy to work with arrays of different shapes when performing arithmetic operations. So in matrix, you can think that, okay, if I try to add, say, a 3x3 matrix with a 3x1 vector, it will not work, right? So, but in NumPy this works. So you have to, sometimes it is useful. Sometimes you have to check that whether you actually want to add a 3x3 matrix and 3x1, I think, vector. So the line y x plus b works even though x has shape 4, 3. So see, x is 4 rows, 3 columns. So it's just 1 to 12. And it's a the v is 1 row, 3 column. So this is x is like 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if you add these two, if you just mathematically try to add a 4x3 and 3x1, 4x3 matrix and 3x1 vector, it will not work. But in Python, what it does is, since this 101 has a compatibility with the number of elements in each row, it will just add this 101 to each row. So this is 1, 2, 3. So it will become 2, 2, 4, because this gets added to 1, this 0 gets added to 2, and 1 gets added to 3. Similarly, it will also get add this 1 to 4, 0 to 5, and 1 to 6. So 5, 5, 7, and so on. Right? So this will not throw you an error, but if you actually want this, it is well and good. But if you don't want this, then you have to basically stop it from happening. So the mechanism that works under it is broadcasting. A very good article is there, what rules it follows. I have just taken the liberty of showing you the easiest of the examples, but the rules are given here in this link. Broadcasting does not work on any arbitrary array shapes. It follows certain rules. Yeah, so that is the thing. So again, like 1 or 1.5 minutes overview of broadcasting. Then matplotlib. So matplotlib is, I think we don't have much more slides after that. So matplotlib is one of the most popular Python packages used for data visualization. So the most important function is plot, which allows you to plot 2D data. So a simple example. So matplotlib.pyplot is the plot window. You can think you can draw things there. So how to do it? So X, I mean, you are just trying to plot a sine wave. So this is values again. A range is NumPy's internal range operator. So you can use np.arange or just range is also fine. So this is between 0 and I think 3 pi with a step size of 0.1. So like 0, then 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 till 3 pi. Okay. So these are the X values, of course, and Y is just np.sine. So you get the sine value of these X. Then you have these X and Y values, which are of same length. That is, whatever may be the number of elements in X, same number of elements are there in Y. Just the corresponding sine values are stored in Y for the X values. Now if you do plt.plot, plt, you see this is the alias for matplotlib.pyplot xy. It will plot it, but to show it, you need to call this plot.show, I mean plt.show. So you must call plt.show to make graphics appear. Otherwise, it will not just appear. It will create, but it will not show. This is multiple plots and legends. How to do this basically multiple plot. You basically y sine, y cos. You do this xy sine, then xy cos. What are the default colors? The first one will be blue, the second one will be green, but you can change. Those are, I'm not giving. I mean, you just try to read the documentation for matplotlib pyplot. You will give. I mean, these are very easy. Just these are as I said, optional parameters, the color length, etc. So you are not giving, so it will take it by its own rule. If you give it, it will just draw in that color. Then how to say give this x axis name. Y-axis name, it is called X label, Y label. The title is sine and cosine. Legends, which one is sine, which one is cosine, etc. These are just some very basic uses. I mean, it can do much more than that. I'll again encourage you to go into the documentation, and whatever you need, you will just use it, right? And then you have to show. Subplot is an interesting thing. So you can plot not just the two functions in the same plot, but you can even have two sub windows. So how to do it? It is given. So it has this plt.subplot. You are generating this data. I'm not going into that. X, then corresponding sine and cos. Now set up a subplot grid that has height 2 and width 1. That basically means that you have 2 row and 1 vector, and each of the row or each of the element will be separate plots, which are called subplots. So it will have total like a grid of 2 by 1, where that means you have 2 rows of subplots and 1 column of subplots. Basically 2 rows if it is called 1. Then you are basically activating the first one. So it is just sequentially it is numbered. So 2 1 then 1 then 2 1 then 2. So 2 1 1 basically means this one. Basically means the first one will be activated, the first row, first column, or the 0 0 8th element, so to say. You make the first, you activate it, then you do the same thing, plt.plot. That plt.plot you are doing here, right? So after you activating it, you can do everything like this, right? And it will just take this first subplot and plot it. Next, set the second subplot as active and make the second plot. So 2, 1, 2, it will plot then the y cos. You are telling that plot the y cos. Now see a interesting difference. Here both are blue. So I said that the first color, default color is blue plot. So this curve, though it is sine curve and this is a cos curve, both are respectively the first plot for the subplots, right? Or first function to be plotted in the subplots. So both are treated as the first functions to plot, and that's why it is blue, right? Then you have, yeah.
Sir, what is this 2, 1, 1 means the middle one? What do this represent?
Oh, this is basically saying that your total number of, I mean, your total plot. So you can think that this is the total plot, and you have divided into a grid of size 2 cross 1. So 2 cross 1 means 2 rows and 1 column. So that means these are the 2 rows, this and this. You can basically draw 2 subplots. The first one will appear as the first row, second one will appear as the second row. Now you can do it like 2, 2, 1. That means you will have 2 subplots itself in the first row and 2 subplots itself in the second row. So it is just gridifying the whole plot. So in different patches it is dividing. So how many patches you are dividing, that is given by this 2, 1. And then which member, I think it is a row measure, if I am not too wrong. That is, 1 will mean, suppose it is 2, 2, then 1 will mean the first subplot, that is 0, 0th, first row, first column. 2 will mean first row, second column. 3 will mean first row, second row, first column, and 4 will mean second row, second column. If I'm not too wrong, it's probably row measure. Just we need to check. Does it answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now displaying images. Since you need to work with images, how to display images. So this is another library, this scipy.miscellaneous. I mean, scipy is one library. From there, another submodule, and imread and imresize. So imread is basically it to read an image. So I think this is like, suppose you have saved the image as some folder assets and cat.jpg, you can read. It will return a NumPy array of size, which is the size of the image, that is height and width are there, which I think is like 400 by 250 or something. I don't remember, but you can get the size of it, right, by using that shape, right? Image.shape, if you do, you will get the size. But since this is a RGB image, like color image, it will have 3 channels. So red, blue, and green. So it is a 3D array. So in NumPy terms, it is called 3D tensor. So it has row, column, and another third dimension. That third dimension are the 3 channels. So if you, yeah, I mean, you need to just play with these things. So imread will read this. Then image tinted, basically this is here, intelligent use of broadcasting is there. So the first channel is getting multiplied with 1. The second dimension is getting multiplied, or the second channel rather. The second slice in the third dimension, you can say, is getting multiplied with 0.95, and the third one is 0.9. So you are basically, so if you know about the images, it's like RGB, 3 channels are there, right? So red channel is kept the values as intact, but blue, G and B, that is green and blue, their values are decreased a bit. So when you show this image tinted in your show, I don't know whether it is coming in the shared screen, you will see a red tint here because the red values are given more importance. So you will probably you are noticing it. So play with it to see what happens. Now similar like plot.subplot. I mean, I am using subplot here, but in PLT also you could have done imshow. So imread and imshow. These are the 2 things that you require. I think this might be just IMSO. This is not imresize. I have to check. So this is the tinted image. I mean, this is just the image and show the tinted image. So 1 to 2. So here you see one column and sorry, one row and 2 column. That is, you are redefining it as 1 row and 2 column, right? Patchifying it. Yeah, so there is an important comment. A slight gotcha with image IMSO is that it might give strange results. It's presented if presented with data that is not uint 8. So this is a particular type, unsigned integer of 8-bit. To work around this, we explicitly cast the image to uint before displaying it. So yeah, this is just some gotcha you need to be familiar with. Yeah, so now probably last 3 slides. Yeah.
Sir, regarding the images, these images are inbuilt in Python libraries, or we have to get it from our PC?
From your what? Last part I did not get.
These images are built in the libraries, or we have to get it from our PC, like this assets cat.jpg.
Yeah, you have to get it from your PCs. I mean, somewhere it is stored, right, in your hard drive. So it is not inside Python. This cat image, this cat.jpg, where I have stored it. Right? So that JPG you can double click and you can show, but in Pythonic way to show it is in this way, right?
Sir, so is it like we are using some sort of a file pointer for accessing that .jpg file, or
see,
just
I don't even know whether it is using a file pointer or anything, but yeah, if you want to like plot a function or show an image,
sir, like
and
it is actually a
some
like
processing on the
predefined
image
command that is present in Python.
Yes, not Python, this SciPy library.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir, I got it.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, if I directly import imread and imresize without writing scipy.mist, sir, will it generate an error?
Probably, because if you import just import imread and imresize, then it must be that there is a library named imread which you have access to, that is installed. So SciPy, NumPy, they need to be installed, and that is taken care of by Anaconda. So by this like this NumPy and SciPy, if there is any library which is just imread, then if you do import, it will work good. But this actually tells that from SciPy library there is a submodule called miscellaneous, probably, that is there are functions defined like imread, imresize. I am using this. You could have just used from SciPy or just import SciPy as sc. Then sc.misc.imread, this whole thing you had to write in place of it. So you can just import some only some functions defined in the library, or you can import the whole library. But if the library does not exist, if you just import that, then it will of course give an error, right? Again, I will just encourage you to try things, right? Don't I mean, you can always ask, but I mean, it's better. I mean, I have spent like 1 minute telling you. So instead of it, you just try it in import, just trying import imread, change the code, modify, and try see what it is giving, right? That can be a good way to learn. Does it answer your question? Okay, I assume that's an yes. Yeah.
Sir, is the IMSO is the function of the Matplotlib library or the SPY? Not miscellaneous.
I think it is of SciPy, and probably there is a typo here. This imresize will be probably IMSO. I have to check and see. So as I am importing imread, I should also import IMSO. That's what my guess is, right? So I'm not totally sure. I have to check, right?
So, but while calling it, we are calling it with plt.imsure, right?
Oh, then yeah. Then it's actually coming from plot. Yeah, that's a good catch, right? So it's actually from PLT. That is, it's a part of PyPlot. Exactly. Yeah, good. Any other questions? Okay. Now about the assignment in 2-3 slides. So you will find the assignment in the GitHub repository. So what we do here is an object segmentation. So what is object segmentation? You don't, of course, need to learn how to do object segmentation, etc. That model is provided. So this needs to be changed to segmenter, not just detector, because you will do both detection and segmentation, like detector, segmenter, detector plus segmenter. Anyway, so you will give an image to a trained model, so to say. In data science, you know, the training and testing, these paradigms are there. So somebody has, say, trained a model which takes an image and it gives a very fine boundary of the objects it sees. Suppose the object of interest is elephant here. You can also try to segment the water body, the grass body, etc., the tree, etc. But yeah, I mean, this is how it is defined. I mean, the problem definition tells what are the object of interest that you need very fine boundaries. So there are like how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elephants, and you are just, I mean, your model will just give boundaries. I mean, just extract this, and this is just a visualization, right? It just shows that, okay, this is the boundary. So that's called object segmentation. So you don't need to worry about the model. It is given to you as your assignment. You just have to use it in different ways. So object segmentation or detection, annotation. So this is the annotation file. So let me just tell about this one first. So this is the same image, but you see there is a grayscale version of it. So what this means is that this fully black color belongs to elephant class. So you will, I mean, when you are training the methodology, you don't have to train. So the people who have trained, they needed these segmentation masks. So you say that these are masks. So this is the form how the segmentation masks are saved for this image. So for this image, there is an accompanying grayscale image. So grayscale is just one channel. So it has values between 0 to 255, right? Each pixel. So pixel is one element of the image. So if it is like 200 by 100 image, that is the width is 200 and 100 is the height, then you have 200 into 100, that many pixels. So pixel elements, or rather picture elements, which has intensity values. For RGB, you have 3 intensity values. For grayscale, you have 1 intensity value. So 200 into 100, those many pixels or picture elements will each have intensity values, either 3 or 1. 3 for RGB and 1 for the grayscale images. So since this is a color image, the image, original image will have 3 channels, but accompanying to it, some persons, they actually meticulously sat and draw these masks, and they have just saved it in this form, that okay, this black color means these pixel elements, they belong, or picture elements or pixels, they belong to elephant class. This is river class. This is branch class, and these has separate grayscale values that you will see. So this is one type of annotation. I know there will be some questions. If you have questions, you can ask. Just I'm completing this another part of the annotation, and I will stop for the questions. So another is that suppose there are many images, 0.jpg is one of them, and you will have some ID. This is given in GitHub. I'll show you where it is given. And there are bounding boxes. So bounding boxes are in format like this, that it is, okay, what are bounding boxes? So bounding box is like this. Suppose this was the image of a person. So this is a bounding box. That means the whole, I mean, this is the fine-grained mask, this orange one, I'm just running over it. And this green one is the bounding box for the corresponding person. For example, this color is violet color. Yeah. So this is basically the sky umbrella. That is the segmentation mask is drawn over it, like overlaid over it. And this is the detection bounding box for the umbrella. So the definition or the difference between Bounding box and segmentation mask is more fine grained. It just follows the boundary of the object, but bounding box is a rectangular one. It can be like a square one also, but it has top left coordinate of the image and it has width and height. There is a funny way to basically know about or denote the coordinates of an image. It always start at the top left. So this is 0, 0. Then this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. So if, I mean, this can be, I mean, if this whole thing is say 200 and this whole height is say 100, this may be somewhere like 50. So x value is 50, y value is somewhere like 20, because this is from 0 to 100. So it's this coordinate is 50, 20. So this is the top left coordinate, and then there is a width and height. So this width may be what, 60, and this height may be say 25, something like that. So these things are given as your annotation that, okay, this is a bounding box. There is a bounding box that exists in this image, which has top left as this and width and height are these. What are the value, whatever the values are, that will be given. And the class of the bounding box is umbrella. What are these values? These are just like umbrella, it is saying 0.98. The model actually, when you train the model, when you pass this original image, not this masked image, the original image, JPG image, you pass it through that model, it tells that, okay, there is umbrella, the bounding box of the umbrella is this, and the model is confident that it's 98% confident that it's an umbrella. About percentage is 100% confident, and so on, right? Backpack, etc. So the annotation is given in a JSON format, as I said. It is given. So why do we need annotation? Because you need to train. So I'm just trying to familiarize with this annotation because in your assignment you need to read the annotation file and then draw the bounding box. Yeah, so that is the case. So bounding box is, so this is the top left coordinate, the x and y coordinate, and this is the width and height. So more details are given in GitHub, like what is the format that is given. And this is the category that, okay, this is TV. Category ID you don't need to bother about. So there are say 200 categories. Out of this, it is the 72nd category. So there are maybe TV, sofa, umbrella, sofa maybe 73rd, umbrella maybe 74th, etc. So, but it says that it's a TV. There exists a TV in this coordinate. That is the top left is given x and y, and this is width and height. So this, with this, let me actually go to the just to describe the assignment. But before that, if you have any questions on these annotations, etc., you can ask at this moment. But I think it will be better if we go to the assignment. So yeah, this is the assignment. I hope you are able to open it. So Python DS assignment. So it tells that we will deal with segmentation and detection. Segmentation is very well studied task of deep learning, having tremendous variety of applications. You have to create a Python package for transforming images and analyzing their effect on predictions of an instance segmenter. This instance segmenter is what will be provided to you. We are providing you with a pre-trained segmenter. All you need to do is call that segmenter on your image and get the outputs. A Python package, now you are required to do a Python package. So what is a Python package? Means that one can install the package in the Python environment and can import. So you see NumPy, etc. These are Python packages in any Python script, irrespective of the location of the script. So that is what you will do. So you will create a package which you can very well use as just like NumPy. Creating a Python package is fairly easy. Just follow the steps here. So the link is given here. Now there are actually scripts here. I'm not going into the detail. I mean, I will let you guys to sink in all these things, 2 hours of these rambles, and you basically you can see what are there. I mean, it's very well written, this README. So there is this main file, model file that is consider it as a black box. You don't need to bother about it. It outputs, it takes the image as NumPy array and provides the segmentation mask bounding box as inputs and corresponding class levels as the output for the input image. That is, it will give you an image like this. This is the output, as I said, right? What are there in datasets class, crop, etc. that you see? You have to do these things basically. You have to get this image, then crop it. You have to write the code for flipping. See, you see, it's just, it is called horizontal flipping basically. So this is some sort of a mirror, you can think here it is, right? Then this is a rotation. So rotation by some angle, it is 90 degree, I think. So you have to provide that argument, you have to write that code. So that all can be done by using NumPy. Rescale, so rescale is just resize, you can think, making it smaller. Then blurring is a special operation, Gaussian blur. So I'll just let you to read it and basically digest it. And if you have any questions, then we can address in there in Teams. So these are the coding tasks and analysis tasks that you basically have to do. Any questions? Any quick questions? I think almost 2 hours have passed. Anything? You can hear me, right? I hope I'm not.
Deadline.
Yes, deadline you can see in Moodle. It is next week as usual. Hopefully my Moodle has not.
The assignment is not showing for me.
Is it? Oh, I mean, I think I have made. Have you refreshed it? I think it is not hidden. Let me just check. Is it hidden? Really?
Yes, sir. There is no assignment right now.
Oh, then yeah, I think I have not. Oh, I think it was default. Yeah. Sorry for that. I hope that you were following in this GitHub. But yeah, the slides. I will upload the typo corrected one, and then okay, I'm making it basically sorry, unhide. I will upload and then let you know in Teams that okay, an updated version has been there, because you might need it. Where is it? On then. Oh, okay. Yeah, now can you refresh and see if you can see it? Hopefully you will be able to see it. And just try to click the link given in DS. The deadline is 26 January, 11:55. 26 is the next Wednesday. Yeah. Okay.
Sir, this assignment would be of 1 week only?
Yeah, I mean, that is what is for the Java and C++, right? You guys requested, and that's why there were deadline extensions, but the default is.
No, sir. Actually, I thought that 1 week for Java, 1 week for C++, and 2 weeks for Python.
No.
Somewhere I heard in the class, so that's why I was asking.
Like there are 2 assignments for Python. So when we will do next, I think the 2nd February probably, then we will give. I think that is the plan. I have to check. That is the plan, right? So I mean, or is the lab test on 2nd February? I mean, in Moodle,
Yeah,
it is.
so actually there are a few things. So this is the data science assignment, right?
Yes,
yeah.
This is the data science.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, yeah, in the we have to change the. Oh, okay. You have changed the order here. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So then yeah. So we can give like next week there is no class and there is no assignment. So yeah, so I think we can give till next Friday or something if you want.
Yeah, but let's try because yeah, if it is required we can, but let's not do it right now maybe. I mean, you try to read it. You have 7 days. It's not too hard a assignment, I'd say, because there are lots of instructions. You just read it and then let us know if you feel you need.
So,
Sir,
another
please show that document again.
Yeah, this one. Oh, or that one. Yeah, this is in Moodle. You see, news forum, software engineering laboratory lecture plan.
So, Professor Abir,
yeah.
Next week, are we floating some assignment?
No. There is no class.
So then they have nothing to do from Wednesday to next Wednesday. So next assignment is going out on 9th February, right?
No, that is the test day actually. 9th because
2nd February. Yeah.
2nd February is.
Okay. Yeah.
Sir, please is the deadline if possible, because this will help us explore many things.
You have not even read the assignment and you are saying about, I mean, has it become a habit?
No, actually, sir, if the time is less, so we are unable to explore many things.
See, time is adequate. Time is less, that you can only say after you read the assignment. It has been opened only 1 minute. I don't believe you have read all the assignments in 1 minute. How can you say that? First, please read it. We have 7 days, that is 7 into 24 hours. I mean, okay, I'm joking, but yeah, 7 days you have, right? Please see if you can do it. You have seen that we are not too strict about deadlines, but if you can do it, then why will you keep it or lengthen it to till the end? Because there will be more and more things that will come from other courses also. I mean, this is what you have seen in last 3 semesters also. After the mid-sem, towards the end, there will much more load. So try to do this in these 7 days. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think I will have to give you time to read the questions. So head to the TA rooms. You first ask the TAs if there is any questions, and then I am here. Maybe I'll take a 10 minutes break now. But yeah, I'll be there in Teams to answer the queries.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, in the tests also we would be given assignments to complete.
Yeah, that yeah, but it will of course not be in this scale, right? So it will be something which can be doable in the whatever.
No, we will announce the format of the test. So typically, what we do is there is a questions section and there is a programming question section. Hello.
Yeah, Sonsa, you're audible.
Yeah. So we will announce the format of the test. Does that answer your question? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, for the assignments, we have to learn some tools which we don't know already. So how will that be possible during the test? So
no, what do you mean? No. It's not assignment. See, you are being unduly worried right now. We will obviously not give something which is not doable. Understood? I think, can you please tell your name? Sony, is it Sony?
Aditya.
So Aditya, don't worry about that. We will announce the format of the test, okay, and it will not be something which will be which will be not doable. Okay, so it will be like a small, if at all the programming assignment, it will be a small one which can be done, let's say, within an hour's time max.
Yeah, I mean, these we are giving so huge things because it is like the take-home assignments, right? So you don't need to do it within the lab. It's not like those PDS labs, right? So you can sit at your own time, think about it, maybe search the internet, how to say do cropping of images. So that's why this sort of scale is given. But in class tests, of course, this sort of scale will not be given, right? Lab tests.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And also the final format we will announce. So don't worry about it.
Okay, so yeah, you can head to your individual TA rooms and just read about the problem. If you have any issues, I think that individual TA channels have been created right now in Teams, so you can ask there the questions, ask the TAs. Okay, but I think you have to give time to basically read the question. It's just reading the questions will take time. Doing it will not take much time. Many of the things are already given. So if I may just share the screen once more. Here. Yeah, so you see the, I think in data you have to do a lot of things. No, not this, sorry, this is the data. My package. Yeah, here there is a data and this transforms. So suppose in crop, what do you need to do? So many of the things are actually given for you. You don't need to write this def init. Write your code here means just writing this constructor function and this thing, the call function. So these are the things that I think there are a lot of helper code that is already provided. So you don't need to worry about this. So analysis, visualize, you need to write these things. Many of the structure is already given. Okay. So just look at it. I mean, just don't get worried about the scale of it. Okay. Have a like this will give you a good practice of like the design of the problem and so on, how to read the design specification and so on, right? Where is my share screen option here? Yeah. Okay, so you can head to the TA rooms. I think the TA rooms have been started, and yeah, 1 second.